Kings and Queens, Queens and Kings, welcome. My name's Michael and this is Ground Up Movement. And here we are, nature immersed, sort of actually standing on the edge of a cliff face here, soaking up that prana, getting earthed out with the magnetic grid, with the magnetic field of the earth. And of course I'm so thankful and grateful that you are here. This is the Galactic Consciousness video, a massive subject, an open-ended subject, open to interpretation. So I'm going to call this a kaleidoscope of information and perspectives, and I hope you like what I've put together. Predominantly we're going to talk about the moon, so I'm going to share this deck, this moon deck that was gifted, nice little synchronicity to go with the vid, and I'm not going to read from it, but it's got a lot of great literature in it, real strong psychology sort of base advice and information, but pictures are very activating as well. They certainly activate certain people and they help tell a story. So I'll just be chucking some cards up, imagery from this deck. I must say there is a trigger alert on this video. Oh, trigger alert, we've got a live one here. Hey Marge, come over and watch this. Yeah, anyone who's watched some of my vids, even for people who've watched some of my vids, I'd say this is your time to practice the skill of discernment and, you know, obviously not believe or take in everything, only receive what resonates with you with this video. And like all great teachings, all the stuff that I've been learning, including this, everyone says don't believe everything that's presented to you. You do your own research, listen to your own intuition and your own discernment skills. Unlike we do with the mainstream media though, right? Yeah, so buckle up. This is the Galactic Consciousness video where we go off planet. Shout out to the space cadets and the starseeds. Let's do this. Alright, so here we are. I'm back on planet Earth, chilling with the tadpoles and the lizards in this riverbed here. And as my words decorate the energies that I transmit from a space found within, connected to universal consciousness, you are loved most profoundly. You are special with a DNA makeup potential waiting to be activated, recognized galactically and coveted by some. And you are sovereign to be an individual, to think independently, to draw conclusions from within and act from these knowings. And you are here for a reason, to remember who you are, royalty, to activate your cellular potential, to expand, heal, and realize your power. And on this path, things fall away. Things that you used to like to do, things that you used to like to get into. And I'm going to read another one of my soul scribbles now. Something that I've written off the top of my dome. And I hope this helps someone. When you see the world through the eyes of enlightenment, when you see your friends and loved ones through the eyes of compassion, when you see planet Earth through the eyes of a child, when you see yourself through the eyes of the ancestors, you see through the energy centers of the first eye. You draw conclusions from the heart space. You draw vision from your soul's perspective. You break free from lower density thought forms. You free yourself from the 3D matrix. You strengthen your love vibration. And you discover your inner world is the control center for the outer world. Check this bird out, sitting in a hole in the tree. Right, so let's talk about the moon. Half moons have always affected my sleep. I've usually always slept terrible on half moons. Direct correlation there. I think the eclipse season is a powerful time, definitely, from last year's experience. And the last 2 full moons of this year, I've done some powerful work, and last one in particular was pretty awesome. I did some grounding work first down at the beach, and then I did a pre-meditation breathwork meditation, and then I did some soul retrieval work. And what can I say except it was fucking beautiful. So definitely work with the moon. The moon's obviously related to the feminine mental energy, the right hand side of the brain, the receiving side and the intuitive side of the brain. Then of course the sun's related to the masculine and the left hemisphere of the brain, and of course we get smashed by the sun as well. So sometimes I'm flat and I'm like, what's going on? It has to have something to do with the sun. Of course it is. I mean, the sun's energies takes out radio waves here, and it affects earthquakes and volcanoes, so that definitely smashes us too. And that's not reported to us at all by doctors or mainstream. And of course, you ladies are well aware that the moon affects your bodies and psyches. Were you aware that if the moon wasn't around that you could choose when you fell pregnant? Down with the moon, hey? Nah, just joking. Yes. And my previous vulnerabilities, one of my main ones was my IBS, gut problems, gut health. And the other one was actually my little man boobies and little bitch tits. Now, you might not think I have vulnerabilities, but everyone does, and you would know what yours are. So I actually noticed that with the moon cycles, come new moon time, my body's really sensitive to foods that I shouldn't be eating, even more so. And by learning about how my body reacts around the new moon, I can be more cautious of what I'm eating. I can honor that, and I can gain my power back. Now, everyone who faces their vulnerabilities and starts to work out ways to heal from that will definitely gain strength from it. It's the same for everyone. So for me, my vulnerabilities are now my strength, because I can talk about them and share my story, because I've done so much work healing that area, and I'm not embarrassed about it at all, like I was. And the way I have done that is through learning to eat less, to feel kind of more hungry all of the time, and fast more regularly, and eat plant-based. And I've done that through using isogenics. So holler at your boy if you want to know more about that stuff. Yeah, it's definitely been a massive vehicle for me for my transformation, and turning my worries around about my vulnerabilities, and of course helps clear the mind too. So I touched on starseeds real quick. If you haven't heard that term, it's going to trip you out, I get it. I'm just going to read a quick paragraph out of a book I haven't read yet. It's called Crystal Stars 1111 by Alana Fairchild, and I'll throw some cards up for imagery. As soon as those beautiful souls, homesick for the stars, choose to trust in their human experience, no matter how weird or dark it may seem to be at times, their entire journey changes for the better. Instead of scarcity, fear and confusion, they can experience abundance, fulfillment and appreciation. Abandonment and disconnection are replaced with belonging and relating at a soul level. They fall in love with the earth and allow her to provide all they want and need to fulfill their inner journey. Instead of being a source of terror and darkness, the world becomes a creative playground for a soul growth and development of wisdom. Frustration and never being understood gives way to enjoyment and celebration. They can share their uniqueness, claim their difference for the great treasure that it is, and inspire others to become more courageous and authentic. All right, moving on, let's get back to the moon. We have a very, very strange moon that the mainstream narratives can't really explain with the new science that's sort of adding up. So I'm going to present some information, but it's not like it's the first body I've seen. I've seen it over a few years from different people and different perspectives. So some baffling facts about our moon is it's bigger than it should be. Its diameter is much, much bigger than any other moon in our solar system. So it's 20% the size of Earth, and the other largest moon in our solar system is only 5%. I'm going to quote this. The mathematics of the placement of the moon in relationship to the Earth and Sun are fantastically precise. It is placed exactly in a perfect position to help sustain life with its influence on the tides, and it is the perfect size to completely eclipse the Sun is a mathematical impossibility unless you factor in intelligent design. Rotation is perfectly synchronized with the Earth's. So it rotates once every 27.3 days and it orbits the Earth once every 27.3 days, so we only ever see one side of it. And it appears to be hollow. It's got a much denser exterior than the internal, and when the Apollo missions found out when it was struck, it rang like a gong or like a bell. And NASA scientist Ken Johnston stated that it wobbled in such a precise way that it seemed like it had giant hydraulic dampers inside of it. So subsurface testing has shown that it's got dense pure metals. What are they? They're iron, titanium, chromium and yttrium in Indian Sanskrit, which is thousands and thousands of years old. They knew that the sand on the moon was black. The craters on the moon are convex, not concave. And the craters are far too shallow for their width, and some craters don't have bottoms. And all NASA missions to the moon have had encounters with UFOs, and they have had observations of large artificial structures built on the dark side of the moon. So in closing, to quote, and all of these mysteries are resolved by accepting the fact that the moon is an artificially constructed object that has been placed here from somewhere else. The simplest answers may be the truth, no matter how strange they seem. Ooh, has anyone triggered yet? So, what do I think about all of this? Why stop there? Why not look at the even bigger picture? The grains of sands on all the beaches on Gaia, and the vast number of stars in the night sky, the suns and solar systems, our sun Stargate, our galaxy's central sun, a massive black hole with a giant infrared star in the middle releasing increased high vibrational light information. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, crossing through a dense energy field in time-space. An equatorial galactic crossing point, activating planet and body cellular DNA expression back to the microscopic, where all of our power exists. The changing of the human density makeup,
and the gathering of soul fragments scattered through a perceived linear notion of time. Our solar system's asteroid belt and the ancient, modern stories, science of a planet that once was. A galactic history community story not yet perceived, accepted. And the limitation of self and humanity that this dogma holds over us. The ancient technologies, forgotten, hidden, and destroyed. Its connection to sacred geometry and sound resonance. Their understanding of the Earth's magnetic grid, neolotic meridian grid lines, toroidal energy, vortex energy, and scalar energy. The quantum vacuum collapsing 0-point answers now remembered and revealed. And the freedom, liberation, and empowerment possibilities to be imagined. Shout out to the Lyrians. And while on the subject of ancient times past, a few videos ago I mentioned about the First Nations people of this country, Australia, being connected to all of this stuff throughout history, throughout these ancient cycles. YouTube channel run by James Gilliland, who runs ESETI Ranch in America, which has multiple light spaceships entering that area daily. There's a portal in the mountain there where ships come in and out of, and he's basically an ascended master and yeah, just an absolute lord. And this part of the convo, this video, he talks about the Gosford glyphs in New South Wales, which I mentioned a few videos ago, and it's just a really awesome little piece of info that he drops here.
Most of the Native American elders, especially the Cherokee and the Lakota, and the Philippine shamans and everything, they all point to the Pleiades. You say, where'd you guys come from? Where do you think you came from? And they point at the Pleiades, which is interesting. So, and so that culture, that's in all of our cultures. I've seen it everywhere in traveling and working with different shamans and things like that. So there's definitely, now the Aboriginal people say that. And have you been to Gosford glyphs? Have you heard of Gosford glyphs?
No.
Oh God, you got to go there. It's a mind blower. They have the whole history of Earth written in stone. And it was the first colony started in Australia, not Africa. And then they tinkered with the Denisovan man, which is the Aboriginal, the original people. And it talks about 4 or 5 colonizations that happened. And the Pleiadians are part of that too. And the whole history is written, and it's written in star glyphs and hieroglyphs and another language, and they're all similar. And the Egyptologists could actually read what they're saying. And it shows the ships coming down. It shows genetics, the DNA strands, and then it shows the humans. And it tells the whole story of what happened. They've been trying to destroy this place forever because it's a history of Earth going back 400,000 years or more.
Well, I read Egyptian hieroglyphs, so
Yeah,
I'd be delighted to see that.
yeah. And Peter Slattery, he's ESETI Australia, and he takes people there all the time. I've been there a couple times. And it's very tricky there. When you go there, you have to be really respectful. You have to, and there's a mother tree, and you have to ask permission. You have to do a cleansing, and people that went up there that didn't do that, a lot of them got sick, got ill. One lady died because she just marched right up there with her group, and she just, she was hit with her energy, I guess, came back on her. But it's a place, when you go there, you have to be very respectful, and there's certain keys you look for, and then that's you're okay. They have guardians. They have these big lizards that sit at the before you go into the kind of a cave entrance in a way, and that's where all the glyphs are. And it's really funny, and they just sit there. They don't even move. They you can almost pet them. Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. But there's when I was filming it, as I was walking up there, I was just filming on some of it on my camera, and my camera kept whiting out, and you'd see all this pink energy come, and the camera would just white out. And I know we're walking through little portals and things there, and they have chambers, and they have these rocks. They have star glyphs on the rocks, and one. It's just an amazing place, but you'd love it there.
What a trip, hey? Shout out to the Blue Avians. Yeah, so let's take a look at the astrology perspective on what's going on in the stars at the moment. Yeah, so the gentleman in this video is the guy who I learned how to do soul scribbles from, so much love to that dude, and I'll pass that knowledge on in my breathwork video. So yeah, let's have a look at this.
Going back to what you were saying, Lee, about becoming galactic citizens, it's something I've talked about a lot in my videos over the last year or so, because I have such a strong sense with these new deep space planets coming online, and hopefully I'll get information coming through. Particularly when I write, I get it coming through. And these new planetary archetypes will link us to the greater galaxy. And for instance, what was very exciting at the end of last year, on the 14th of December, we had a big solar eclipse. Solar eclipses are big new beginnings. And this was happening at 23 degrees of Sagittarius. That is super, super close to something called the galactic center, which has the power of the mass of 40 million suns. It sort of spews out lots of cosmic radiation with which we create our world. And so that is a very powerful place in the cosmos, the galactic center at 26 of Sagittarius. But what was even more wonderful was there is a planet which is called a Kuiper belt object. It doesn't have any other name but that. It's way out beyond the realms of Pluto, and it's called Vada. And it was exactly at 23 degrees of Sagittarius, exactly on this solar eclipse. And in myth, she is known as the Star Lady. She was the goddess of the elves. She lives in no time. And she, in myth, lit up the stars in our heavens, and she placed the sun and moon in our sky and set them on their trajectory, as it were. Certainly the moon moves. And because this is a big new beginning, solar eclipse, on the galactic center, I was thinking, okay, so she did that historically in myth, but is she actually saying this is a whole new beginning in our understanding of the cosmos? Is there a whole new layer coming in, which she's going to enable for us with our understanding? And that feels just super exciting, that we're onto a whole new adventure in consciousness and understanding. And I get very, you must tell me if I'm speaking too much, but I get very kind of buzzed up them, because all of them that I've studied so far are very quantum in their understanding. You know, you don't have to slog and write a business plan and push and make, you know, they're quantum in their leap. They're very magical, and they are very much to do with creator energy and regenerative energy, which is just fabulous, you know, for a new consciousness. But that many of them are also very connected to indigenous myths and the big dreaming and, you know, the Aboriginal song lines, and a very deep instinctive connection to nature as well. So they've got this kind of quantum physics leading edge understanding of reality, but anchored in ancient shamanic tradition.
Shout out to the quantum shaman, hey? That's a future term. No one's saying that shit yet, but trust me, it's going to become more prevalent. So now we're going to go to another video from the same dude I shared before, James Gilliland, from a different interview by Dr. Kesh from the Kesh Institution. And this is the new science of the world, the technology that is now being released but just not being reported on by the mainstream media once again. So let's have a little look at his viewpoint on NASA, which I've said in other videos stands for never a straight answer. Let's have a look at this.
By Mr. Wilson, which is the head of NASA Propulsion Lab, a friend of Keshe Foundation. It'll take you 7 months to go and come back. Now with the Keshe Foundation technology, it takes you 7 hours to go and come back. Who is going to listen to NASA? NASA has become a laughing stock.
Yeah,
We laugh at it.
yeah.
Pardon?
I've always said, I don't know why that we're sending people up on firecrackers when we've had anti-gravity and counter-gravity for quite some time, but they keep sending the people up on these giant firecrackers. And yeah, I know too much about NASA, what the real agenda is, and it's not pretty. It's not very good. But
but the thing is now, the Keshe Foundation television coming in operation in 4 weeks' time, we show the new technologies. We will show you how you have a flying car. When we went to show the flying car 10 years ago, the American embassy bought half of the seats in the auditorium to show that this is a failure, nobody comes. When we had an exhibition on 26th of November 2011 in Eindhoven in Philips UFO, what we call auditorium, with 700 seats. The seats were sold within minutes after going into the market.
What? Where's my flying car? I'm ready for a flying car, damn it. Wait a minute. That's better, see? A little bit of V8 action to help ease the pain of us being limited by the technologies that are out there. Alright, so now we're going to go to a little bit of a video outtake. All of these whole videos I'll share in the links below, but now we're going to look at the Indian Sanskrit knowledge that dates back into antiquity, 5 to 10,000 years, and their advanced, super advanced knowledge of the stars and the speed of light and pi, and this level of consciousness that was around back then. It shows how, when I look at it, it shows the creativity that is intertwined with higher consciousness and technology. So these pieces, these songs that they've written, they're a song, they're like a hymn, and so they're a creation of art, yet they are the workings mathematically for the number pi down to like 32 decimal points, for example. So let's just have a quick look at this.
To end, I would like you to listen to this particular sloka.
Gopi bhagya madhuvrata Shringishodadhi sandhiga Khalajivita khatava Galahalara sandhara.
As you can see from the translation, it is one of those many shlokas that are there in the praise of Lord Krishna. But there is a secret here. If you take ka, ta, pha and replace them by 1 and so on as is shown in this table, then this particular shloka is actually the encoded value of pi up to 31 decimal places. You know, the first time I saw this, it really blew my mind. These guys knew how to do encoding. These guys knew the value of pi. These guys did this in a form of a devotional poem, a shloka. I had goose pimples when I first heard about the Katapayadi Sankhya, as it is called. If you are wondering how our ancient people knew all this, my pet theory is it's because they meditated. You know, India, I guess, is the only civilization in which science and spirituality were never at loggerheads with each other. In fact, all our scientists were saints. They knew to go outside, you also have to go inside. And this is, I guess, one of the most important messages that ancient India has for India today and the world in general. I hope you will also consider going a little inside as you continue to explore the mysteries and beauty of the outside. Thank you very much.
Shout out to the Andromedans and Arcturians. Well, I hope you can see how everything sort of ties together and it's a multi-dimensional topic. In closing, I'm gonna finish with another soul scribble, which is just stuff that I write unplanned and spins me out, what comes out. Look into the mirror and what do you see? Look into your eyes closely and what do they resemble? In the night sky, there's hundreds of billions of galaxies, each with tens of billions of suns, each with planetary systems and moons. The refractions of light energy sound resonance that we see in many cases resembles the eye structure. A connection to the cosmos so profound and activating. A connection to the universe and self, forgotten, lost, and now hidden by powerful, controlled, dogmatic institutions. The rise of Egypt, its society connection to the stars, higher consciousness, and advanced technologies beyond this current society's disconnection, low vibration, fear, guilt, grief, shame, controlled rhetoric. The ancients knowing of soul expansion, energy healing, earth energy, and the power of concentrated thought. The fall of Egypt, the propaganda brought about by the service to self mentality, power, greed, separation, the fear, guilt, grief, shame, and unworthiness thrust upon the collective, the locking away of ancient mystic healers and teachers of enlightenment, the cycles of Atlantis before them, the cycles that are beginning anew now in this year 2021, this moment. 2021 adds up to a 5, and a new numerology number of change is written in the stars. The breaking free of another dense control mechanism that simply cannot carry on anymore. The age of Aquarius is here. Shout out to the Pleiadians. Shout out to the Syrians.
Well, that is a wrap. I want to thank you so much if you've made it this far in the video. I'm grateful that you are here, as always. So we've gone from the earth to the stars, and next we go within. I'm Michael Doviak, And this is ground up movement. Peace, much love and light. Stay tuned for more madness. Namaste.
Well,